System 333 on air. We filmed this just before New Year's Eve, but it will be our first podcast for 2021. As it turns out, today I got a very special guest from one of my favorite cities in the world, Saint Petersburg, Russia, Katya here, a producer, journalist from 78 Channel. Is that correct? Did I say that right?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Everything is right. Hello, everybody. Yes, my name is Katya. I'm a journalist, and maybe I'll try to tell you how journalists work in all this pandemic situation
Yeah,
in Russia.
I got to admit, we've a lot of people ask me about my travels to Russia. I tell people that my favorite city in Russia is Saint Petersburg. Many people know I've traveled right across the country from Vladivostok all the way to Moscow. I did that in 2017. I believe that's the year we met. But that wasn't my first time in St. Petersburg when we met. We met there because I was in St. Petersburg the year before too. It's a beautiful city, and you have a very interesting story from St. Petersburg. You've lived through some interesting times there. You even got coronavirus yourself. Is that correct?
Yes, I've had it because my dad works in ambulance. And I mean, he's very close to all this situation, and my whole family had COVID. But fortunately, that was in light form. I mean, we all had a very light illness. We just lost our possibility to feel the taste and everything like that. Mother had a small temperature, but everything was fine, thank God. So I know that some people have it in heavy form, but most Russians have it in light form, and that's why I guess we are so relaxed. A lot of Russians stopped to be scared of Corona, and that's why we have more and more cases because people forget about all the limitations. They don't use masks. They go to the nightclubs and everything like that. So
Yeah,
the
what does it go with that? I mean, I've been on Instagram and, there are a few other Russian girls I've seen going out at night and going on holidays
yeah,
and stuff. And I'm
yeah.
thinking, like, some of them are wearing masks, some of them are not. I mean, what's going on? Like, is it worse in Moscow? Is it worse in the east? Like, where is the big cluster of the coronavirus in Russia? And when did it start? Which city did it start in?
In Russia, because the pandemic started later than in Europe and America and other countries. I mean, we started to hear about COVID in January, in the beginning of this year. I mean, we saw it in the news and everything. We just heard about it, but we thought that this is far. This is not about us. It will never come to our country. But in February, in March, already first cases of coronavirus appeared in Moscow, in Saint Petersburg. Everybody was really scared, but still, we didn't think that it could affect our life like that. We never thought that it could get to biggest limitations that we all will sit at home and that's the biggest parts of our country will have coronavirus too. And I mean, nobody expected, I guess, nowhere.
Yeah, I
So
think the interesting thing, I mean, when we look at Russia on the map, and I guess this comes from an Australian perspective, is Russia does border China, so it's close to China, but yet the
yeah,
coronavirus did not come into Russia. Why do you think the coronavirus did not come to Russia immediately compared to, countries like America, Australia, despite the fact that Russia shares the border with China?
maybe at start nobody just could understand that this is coronavirus. People had flu, but doctors couldn't understand this is corona. So that's why the first cases were so late. I mean, later than in Italy and other countries which are really close to us, and a lot of travelers were coming to us. And it started, all these cases were just from the people who came from Europe, from America, from China. But then the situation became really global. And in April, we've already had about 300, 400 only in our city, only in St. Petersburg.
Hmm.
And the first limitations have started only when the situation became so global. I guess the limitations came to us really late. If they were before the situation was so serious, everything would be better. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. So in the summer, the situation has become better.
And by the way,
Fortunately,
summer for Australians is different. Is from June. So you're talking from about June, July,
yes,
August.
yes. In Australia, how was it in the summer? The situation
So this is
was that.
summer now. We're living in summer now, but right now it's been raining outside. Like it's not summer today. It's not gonna. We're gonna be having rain for the next 10 days. So it's pretty crappy summer if you ask me. It's
Yeah,
usually it's like 40 degrees now, 35, 40 degrees. But right now, I mean it's raining out there. It's a good day to stay home. So um, it's gotten worse. So actually, so I don't know how much you hear about what's going on in Australia from your news side of the world, Kasia, but
not too much. Everybody writes about America, about Europe, Italy. I mean, the countries where were a lot of COVID. So I don't know a lot about Australia. How is the situation now?
so it's been really up and down. So I think the first thing to understand with Australia is we're an island, so we don't border any country, which means it's actually better for us, it's favorable in this situation for the pandemic because the restrictions to come across, the water and whatnot is a lot better, because we don't have as many countries coming in, and that makes it easier. But the biggest issue is because we're so isolated, the way we see world problems isn't as severe as other countries. It's kind of like what you said about Russia, where this is a faraway problem. This isn't a problem that is going to have an impact directly on our people until the situation ends up in the city in St. Petersburg or Moscow, then, problema, right?
Yeah,
And
big problema.
that's it. So in Australia, it's very much the same thing. And I think what happened was, see, Australia has a very close connection with China. We do a lot of
Mhm.
trading between Australia and China, and a lot of people from China come in Australia to do business. So, because of that, Australia immediately then took a look at what was going on in China, realized, hey, this is a pretty severe thing. And we went into full lockdown in March. I'm in Sydney, one of the pretty much the biggest city in Australia, and my sister, she's in Melbourne. Um, Between the two cities, Melbourne took the biggest impact because Melbourne, we're in a very long lockdown. I don't know how many months, it was like more than 4 months. And they say it was one of the biggest lockdowns in the world for any major city. Um, Aside from Kashmir, which is a different lockdown because they have political lockdown and corona lockdown, Victoria, Melbourne, the second biggest city in Australia, is said to be have the harshest lockdown restrictions out of any city in the world. You can look it up.
Do you still have strict limitations in Sydney, in Melbourne?
So this is what happened. So many of the people who might have been seeing my story on Instagram over the last 2 weeks, I was in Melbourne for 2 weeks to see my sister. So um, I was going to stay there till early January, and then what happened was there was a coronavirus outbreak again in Sydney while I was over in Melbourne, and I had to come back to see my parents for Christmas and to, commence work for my business in January. So I had to quickly hurry up to get out of Melbourne to come back to Sydney because what they do in Australia, Kasha, is I don't know if they do this in Russia, but see, we have different states. In Russia, they call it oblast, I think, Oblast, oblast.
Yes, Oblast.
Yeah, so
That's right.
so in the way I can put this, they put the border between every oblast, between my state and my sister state and the other states in Australia. So all the oblast or all the states were sealed off. So you
Yeah,
cannot travel between.
that's crazy because we can travel uh, around Russia, and this is the only possibility for us to see something new. It's like this summer, everybody has seen so beautiful places in Russia because we didn't have possibility to travel abroad like everybody. I mean, only to Turkey, but it started only in August when we could go to the sea in Turkey. So everybody here was traveling around Crimea, Sochi, Krasnodar, Altai, and all these beautiful places. But maybe this is a plus too, because we could even see our country and know it better. Because before it, we've already chosen Europe and other countries
Help the
for
local
travel.
economy.
Yeah, yeah. So now we know our country better thanks to pandemic. But actually, about talking about us, the limitations are not so strict like in Europe and like in Australia, like you say, because you had very strict lockdown, like you say. But in our country, yes, there were a quarantine when the president announced that we all have to stay at home, like self-isolations, and a lot of people have lost their job because of it. So it wasn't really a good idea. And after this lockdown, everything got back to the situations before the pandemic. I mean, the restaurants are open, the gyms are open, the subway, the public transport works like it worked. So everything works. Schools, universities, everybody works right in the rooms. So I'm not sure that this helps, and I guess that's why we have such a terrible situations like now. It's about 4,000 cases only in Saint Petersburg every day.
Every day, that's bad.
Yeah, every day,
That's a lot.
4,000. That's a lot.
Yeah, it
But
is.
nobody cares like now. I mean, we have strict limitations for the New Year holidays. I mean, they started from 26th of December
Hmm.
and they will be till 11th January. Restaurants work only till 7 p.m. Museum, theaters, everything is closed. The public transport works less, but I'm not sure that it will help. Our people will already find the possibility to have party, to go to the nightclub and something like that.
Well, I think Russians just like they're warriors, right? They don't give a shit about
They're
like in
crazy.
a virus. Yeah, I mean, and look, don't get me wrong. I think, I guess I've had a similar mentality to Russians in that regard. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I was being sensible at the beginning. I was staying at home a bit more. But I think afterwards, like, because I was catching the fucking train every single day to work. And I'm thinking if I'm catching this, because so we got told to work from home from March to the end of May, right? And then at the end of May, which is beginning of June, I went to work from June to November, and then I was catching the train, public transport every single day in the city, in the heart of Sydney City, like 5 days a week. I'm thinking, I don't know, like I'm going to the gym as well. Like I'm going to the fucking gym all
Yeah,
like because I have access to gyms all over the country. I was going to the gym in Tweed's Head, going to the gym in Melbourne, going to the gym everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, um, I think maybe I had the virus and I didn't know. Like I just didn't get tested.
maybe it's possible. Maybe you didn't have any symptoms. I mean, a lot of people had something like that.
Yeah. And this is a mystery, right? It's a big mystery.
Yeah. But you can make the test for, I don't know how it called in how to call it in English. We call it antitela, like something that you have after COVID in your blood. It's like you can make test and recognize if you had COVID or not.
So if you've had it
Actually,
before,
yeah, if you had it before.
well, that's
So it,
something that I don't know if people, I didn't even know that, right? So I'm pretty sure
really,
like people will probably want to find that out. So is that exclusive in Russia, or do you think I can find a doctor here
I
that will do
don't
that for me?
know. I'm surprised. I thought everybody can recognize it. No, we have it in Russia from March. I guess we can make this test.
Okay, well, I'm gonna go to the doctor next week after New Year's and
So you have to find it.
find out, huh?
Actually, actually, I wanted to ask if you use masks and gloves everywhere.
So I was sensible, like in this regard. Like when I went on the train, like I would wear a mask. I would have a mask in my jacket if I didn't want to put it on. When I was in Melbourne, I had to wear a mask on public transport everywhere. Like when I was getting on the train, when I was in the supermarket. I found it annoying to communicate. Like I very much like to read people's faces when I speak to them. So that for me is like, when you put a mask on someone, you can't see exactly how people are feeling, and what the communication is. The communication is not the same, to a better way to put it. Um, but we were wearing masks in Sydney, but after June, I think most people stopped wearing it. But in Melbourne, they still wear it.
So you don't have to work in mask and something like that. Nothing, right?
It's not that extreme, no.
Yeah, good for you because we have it. This is the only strict limitations that's really strict because before we go to the subway, everybody tests us if we have the mask. In buses, in trains, everywhere you should wear masks and gloves. In supermarkets and also at work, you understand? 500 people sit in my open space of TV channel in masks, in gloves, always make disinfections of
It, it,
hair.
it, it would be so, it feels like bizarre, like a movie, right? Like what the fuck's
Yeah, it
going
looks
on?
like a movie. It's really scary. And
Yeah,
we
it's
can't
weird.
talk to each other normal because we can't even hear each other because of these stupid masks. We already hate it. We all have ill ears because of this mask, because it's really heavy to put it for 20 hours of working days. It's really complicated. But we
Mm.
start to get used to it. I'm not sure that this will end soon. I think that in the next year we all will be around this pandemic too, and government says that we shouldn't think about travels abroad till 2022.
Well, yeah, the government said the same thing to us too, you know. So one
Yeah,
thing I mentioned before, Kasha, is they sealed the local borders, you know, so between each state, between each oblast, right? So when this happened, we realized that, okay, if you can't even fucking travel from one city, which is 10 hours away, to another city in your own country, what chance do you have traveling internationally unless you have a good reason?
no chances.
And I wanted to go to Greece. I wanted to, because I wanted to stay there for a bit. I was going to come to Russia, to a few other places. I wanted to go to Kazakhstan as well, as
Yeah.
to some of those other places in Central Asia, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. But this year, my plans were foiled, thank you to the coronavirus. And but I found a way to adapt to life here because Australia is still a beautiful country. There's still many great things to do. So I want to ask you about that. What type of when the coronavirus changed your whole aspect on traveling outside of Russia, which is something that you love to do, especially it's one of your passions, like myself. How did
Yeah.
you change your mentality and approach to viewing travel?
For me, it was easier to understand it because I'm not alone in this situation. And it's not about me. I know that everybody in the world had this problem and I can't affect it anyhow. I mean, I think we just have to get accept these situations like our reality, and we will tell our children and our grandchildren that we have gone through this. I guess we go through very interesting and extraordinary historical moments when everything is closed, when we can't see our friends from other countries and all these problems. I think this is very important, and this is very important experience which is given to us to appreciate all these moments after that, appreciate more. I mean, before that, we can go to any country without any problems, just buy ticket online, and then the next day to fly away to another end of the world. Now
Mhm.
we can't do this, but when this possibility will come back to us, we will appreciate it more, and we will be in love with our life more and more and more. And I think this is very important for us.
It is, and one thing I felt like for me, because you know, I was working for but most for the whole year really. Same job. I felt like I was a robot on repeat, right? Just doing the
Yeah,
same thing every single fucking day. And I knew that, I had to go through this, right? Because it was something that the whole world was collectively facing. But the good thing was I already had set out a plan in my mind as to what I wanted to do. So it's all about, I think, the coronavirus has made people all about adapting, to adapt to the situation, not just, physically what is going on in the external world, but mentally as well. How can I
yeah,
change my mindset to make this situation better for me if I can't travel, if I can't go out and have the same type of fun I used to be able to have, right? So what I did was I rechanged my mindset and I said, all right, this is going to be my plan of attack now. So I ended up making a lot of money, saving a lot of money, which was good because I wasn't spending all my money on travel. So I was able to save it. So I changed the mindset of how I viewed it. I said, maybe I can't travel, but I can save money, which is good, which I wouldn't usually
Yes,
do.
that's very important too for me too, because before that I've been wasting all my money for
Or your
travel.
Russian ruble,
Yeah, for adventures, for parties.
or the
And
ruble.
now in this year, I had the possibility to save more money, to send them to the bank, because now I try to buy the car. So for me, it's a possibility to buy the car and something like that. To buy more, I bought new things to my apartment. So that's where I found to earn my money. But still, I'm waiting for abroad will be open and we can earn money for travels again. That's
Yeah.
much better than saving money.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So when I finally decided that I wanted to travel, right? Because I ended up going to buy. So we got many different nice little towns, nice little cities in Australia. Um, I ended up going to Byron Bay, which is where a place where a lot of celebrities go to. American celebrities, they go there. Um, that was my first eye opener traveling in the pandemic in my own country, right? This is not something you have so much because you travel in your own country, but there are no border closures, right? So the situation is not so difficult for you guys as it is for us, right? We have to go through all these restrictions when we travel, even if we're going to one state. So when I went to this place, you won't believe this, right? In this place I was staying, this hostel, every person, almost 80% of the people that were staying here were from a different country, foreigners, and they were stuck in Australia because they could not go back to South America, not go back to
It's
Europe.
awful.
How
That's really
crazy is
scary.
that?
That's really scary when you can't come back home and you don't understand when can you do this. That's awful. A lot of Russians had the same situation when they were stuck in Bali, Maldives, and all these countries where they go for rest for the ocean. And unfortunately, of course, they could come back in the end I mean, not in the end, when airplanes started to make a special program of coming back of Russians from abroad. But some of people had to wait there for months, for 2 months. They had to earn their money. They didn't even have money to stay there. And that's really scary. I would never want to be in this situation. That's really awful.
Yeah, and
So
the
this,
lady I had on that spoke about the trip to Russia before, Masha, she had to travel from, she was in Budapest. She had to travel from Budapest to Estonia and had to
mhm.
go through Navarro. I think it's called Navarro, to go over the bridge and walk across the border just to re-enter Russia. Um,
Oh my God.
which I think, what was the name of the town? It was Estonia border town, Russia. It starts with N.
Narva, Narva.
Narva. That's it. Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
Um,
this is the first city when we go to Estonia because it's very close to Saint Petersburg and we go there by car.
she had to walk across the bridge to go
It's
to
crazy.
re-enter Russia. How fucked is that? That's pretty messed up.
That's about crazy Russians a little bit. We can walk through a road on our feet.
Yeah, I like that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So moving into a bit of what you've been doing. So, you understand? I understand you've been doing the journalism for the local radio station or for a new channel. I would like to know what type of discussions do you have in terms of the radio channel you work in, the journalism you do. What topics do you cover?
Actually, now when I changed my job in the beginning of the year, the coronavirus has just started, and we
Hmm.
already had a lot of news about pandemic. But we had in other news too, and now I got a feeling that we don't have any other news, even pandemic and coronavirus. I don't even understand what we talked about, what we wrote about before the pandemic, because everybody is connected to coronavirus. The government always tells about it, the culture is all about it, the art, everything is about it. And I don't even understand how it can affect our life far. I guess we will talk about it for a long time too. So now we talk about limitations, about health, um, the medicals, doctors, new researchers is are the center of our discussions and of our news. We try to calm people down a little bit because a lot of people have the panics. And I've been making an article maybe yesterday how pandemic affected psychological health of people. I mean, a lot of
Definitely.
people, yeah, a lot of people have depressions, panic attacks, new psychic illnesses. It's really crazy, and a lot of people have divorces because of self-isolations. It really affected people very much.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
affected their home lives. And I think the effect that we're seeing is everywhere. It doesn't matter whether you're Australian, American, Russian, Greek, it's everywhere around the world. And one thing that I've really began to observe is what have people been able to do to kind of overcome this, whether it's with their family, whether it's with, their roommates or whatever living situation they're in. Now, I mean, uh, for example, in my case, I decided I would support my family a lot more by living with them this year. So I actually, live with my mum, so I could.
oh, you've been with your family during quarantine.
Yeah, so I'm moving
How
out
was
again in 1 week. But this year I thought, you know what, good to stay with my mum and my father who got stuck here because he was
it?
meant to be overseas. Because as long as I can work together with my family during this time, I know I'm doing the right thing. So I think for me, my mentality was family first. In this hard time. Um, what mentality do Russians have? Do they thinking a lot about keeping family together, or how much mentality was done towards making sure they can improve the quality of life for people around them?
A lot of people, when they stayed at home with their husbands, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, children, recognized people who they live with in another way. I mean, when we work for a long time, when we don't come home for the whole day, we don't even know the people with who we live with. We just say a couple phrases before we go to sleep, and that's all.
Correct.
But yes, but the time of self-regulations gave us the possibility to know each other better. And for some people who had problems in relationships, it had a bad affection because they knew each other and they recognized it in a new way. And they thought, oh my God, what is the person who I live with? I don't like him. I'm not in love with him. What is it? So
Yeah.
that's why in Russia there were a lot of divorces,
Hmm.
breaking ups, and something like that. But I
What was
think
the
that's
demographic? What age of people? Like, how old were they? Were like divorces between 30 and 40, or?
between 30 and 40, yes. People who have lived together maybe for 5 years and everything was okay, but the passion and this feeling of love is already gone, and now they just have to be like friends, like partners, but they couldn't get through this because they understood that they just can't live with this person in one space. They just can't talk. They know into each other, and that's really crazy. But I think that's a plus too, because the self-isolations gave us the possibility to change our life in a better line, and to know the people who we live with, and to stop the relationships which are already not effective.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like I remember I had my friend on earlier on in the year, Ben, and he said because he was in the situation that you were talking about. He said that he had a girlfriend, he was living with her, and as soon as they started being in each other's sight too often, all the problems that existed in the relationship came to the
Yes,
surface, right? And the way he said it was he said the coronavirus didn't change anything; it only intensified existing issues. So the problems were
yes,
always
it's
there,
true.
but the existing issues were now like 10 times, 20 times more present, in day-to-day life. So people had to like actually face it. And that's not something people want to face in the middle of a pandemic. They can't go to work. They can't, do the things they love doing. Now they have to deal with the problems of their partner. It's intense for them. Different.
But I guess that for couples who had harmony in their relationships, this time of quarantine was really a better situations, because they could talk more, could spend more time together that they couldn't spend before. Some people even married after this quarantine and decided to up their relationships to the new level. So it's a plus too, I guess. Yes, like you said, people have stayed face to face to the issues that were before and that already existed. They just didn't talk about it. But during quarantine, they didn't have another possibility even talk to each other and to recognize that the problem exists, really exists. And people who didn't go to psychologists, to specialists, just divorced and broke up. That's
And
life.
and yeah, it's this in itself is, I think, will be a very interesting study in years to come when we look at the impact the coronavirus has had on the modern human relationships, because it's a very unique time. You've got so many different so many different combination of factors that were never present in the human experience. One thing includes the use of technology, social media, the online world, the online platform changed a lot during the pandemic. I'd like to hear uh, your kind of observations. How did you see the Russian social media landscape change when the pandemic started? A lot of people here in Australia were going through the whole conspiracy theories, talking about 5G. There was COVID deniers. There was a lot of stuff about the government is trying to track us because we had to get all these apps and QR codes to scan in. What is the common level of thought for the Russian average Russian person using social media, Kasha? How do they think about this?
Social media had a big progress in Russia during quarantine, because this is what helped us to make our job and not to lose it during quarantine. This is what helped us to not die from boredom. This is what helped us to talk with our friends, like in Zoom, like now we talk to you. And social media, this is really, we all understood that this is our future, that this is our present and our future, and this is something that we have to work on. Even in my TV channel, we started to pay more attention to Telegram, to Instagram, to TikTok, to all these things. So now this is really important thing, and a lot of people made their new projects, and a lot of TV channels with, I mean, conservative uh, channels and sites decided to make progress on this online platform. And I think that it's really cool, because this is what we have to pay more attention. This is what really has the potential to we all have a potential in it to make more money and something like that. I started to make my own blog about cinema too, because during quarantine I really had a lot of free time,
Mhm.
like all of us. You started to make your podcast. I mean, everybody found a way to make your own personal progress on this online platform. I think that is cool and very important, and give us a lot of pluses in the future.
Yeah, you're spot on, and I love that. That's the outlook you have on social media and on your mentality for yourself. Producing your own piece of work, and I reckon it's a very good way to put a close to the podcast, because if more people, regardless of whether you're in Russia, Australia, or America, if they actually look at the positives they can take out of the situation, spending more time on your own, working on your own projects, putting stuff up online that you wouldn't usually have the time to because you would be out all day or going out clubbing or something. Now you can actually invest that time in doing something more meaningful, creative, and wholesome. And yeah, I think 2021 is going to be a great year for
I
people who
hope.
decide to do that. Yeah, well, definitely the most you make of it too. For 2021, what are some of the projects you'll be working on? What are you looking forward to for 2021, regardless of travel? What is it that
No,
you?
I don't think that travels expect us in 2021, but actually I got a plan to travel around Russia if their borders won't be open. I still got tickets to Tunisia in the summer of 2021 because I didn't use them this summer, and maybe
You
I
go
will
there
have.
every year, don't you? You go to
Yeah, yeah, I go there because there are a lot
Seuss,
of my
isn't it?
friends.
Seuss, they call it. SOU. Is it
There are a
Seuss?
lot of my friends, there are a lot of parties, and we, with my best friends, like to go there to have fun. But maybe we will change our tickets to Turkey or Dubai. I mean, something which will be open. We don't know what we can insist on. But about, of course, I got a lot of plans connected to my work. I want to complete my study on masters because I forgot about it, and after I got my education as a bachelor, I forgot about completing it. I mean, I've
Mhm.
already, I've had a lot of other things to do. I mean, I worked a lot at the radio at start, done on television. So I hope in 2021 I will complete my education finally. I want to study art. Because this is really what is interesting for me. And I hope that I will start my new own project. I found people with who I can do this. Maybe we can start doing it on YouTube. We'll see. We'll see how it will be. But I hope that 2021 will be really productive and interesting year. And tell about your plans. I think that you plan to write a new book.
That's correct. Yeah. So second book is on the way. It's going to be an interesting one. So that one's really going to be written in the midst of the pandemic. So it's a book from the pandemic. I call it Prelude, the book from the pandemic.
Mhm.
It's going to really observe the situation that we've seen worldwide and in Australia. The other thing is, kicking off the business that I'm going to be doing. So, yeah, 2021, Entity Inertia Systems coming to you. We'll be working on a lot of big projects, helping different businesses on their sales revenue, building in sales platforms, and gig, my own setup, my own business. And 2021 will be a year to be able to launch that off the ground. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. As well as training, I'm getting back into MMA, mixed martial arts. I signed up at the
Wow,
martial arts
really?
gym. Yeah, I was doing it for about I was doing it a couple of years ago. 10 years ago, I used to do it when I was 21. But now I told myself I'm in shape. I'm ready. And I'm going to get back into it. Like your hero, Khabib
Yeah, I guess everybody have been watching his last fight with I
McGregor.
forgot I forgot the name
You're not a
of
real
the
fan.
opposite fighter. Yes, we all have watched, but I think that he will come back. He will have a new fight. So I don't believe to all these words when people say that this is my last fight, this is my last show. So I'm sure that we'll have a lot of new fights. And what I already wanted to ask, how will you celebrate New Year?
Well, we just we just had Joke of the Year here, which is like a long-standing contest that we have like in the lead up between Christmas and New Year's. It's basically the person who can really go crazy New Year's. I think the craziness has already happened over the last 2 weeks, but it will be a good New Year's. I can say that. What about you?
Uh, I invited all of my friends to my own house. So we're gonna have a home party. Because of course I wanted to go to the bar, to the nightclub, and to dance, but unfortunately, I guess we don't have this change because everything doesn't nothing doesn't work after 7 p.m. But actually, we have winter terraces. Can you imagine it?
What is it?
Like summer terraces, but winter. Can you imagine it when it's minus 15 in Saint Petersburg, a lot of snow, and we have to chill in the winter terrace in front of the cafe? That's really crazy, but this is our reality.
Hey,
So
I've seen Russian like go swimming in the water, the ice bath.
it is. Yes,
That's pretty messed
yes,
up.
we have to get used to it. So my New Year will be just with my friends. I hope that this will be a really fun party because we all want to say goodbye this year and meet the new one with new plans, and we hope that pandemic will be ended finally.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I want to say fuck off to the coronavirus very bluntly. I think
I
that's
was
kind of the best
saying,
approach, because it done more bad for the world than good. But everything in this world goes in cycles. Dualistic cycles of yin and yang, up and down. And I reckon this year was a year where the world didn't really see things so favorably. But the good thing is, it's all your mindset. It's all what's going on up here at the end of the day, Kat. And if you can have control over your reality, focus on your passion, do the things you love doing, and work out a plan for the new year, then you're going to be ahead of it no matter what. And that's my attitude, my mentality. I want to say thank you for coming on the show. You've been really awesome to have on. Would love to have you back on again. How can people find you that want to reach out to your channel? That way I can
you
put
can
this
find
up.
me in Instagram, Cat Rubaika. You can find it. Maybe you can find me in,
I'll be able to put it up on the video. So
yeah, I will send it to Zach, and maybe you can find in the followers of Zach.